Coming into game 4, we are fresh off of one of the craziest NHL playoff games that we have ever seen. We witnessed one of the greatest individual performances of our time by one of the most polarizing figures of these playoffs. That was somehow overshadowed by a blown 4-0 lead in the third period as Carolina came all the way back to force OT. And despite that, Vegas was able to avoid one of the biggest chokes we've ever seen to take game 3 in overtime. But the biggest news coming into this one was the status of Freddie Andersen. Fred X himself, he got pulled halfway through game 3, and Brandon Bussi came in relief and played unbelievable. Also, Freddie got bonked in the head as well, so there was mystery all day long about what was going on and who got the nod. And sure enough, Coach Rod said, bring in the Bussi. He's the starter, and Fred is actually just a healthy scratch in this game, which is a concerning fact. That makes Bussi the first undrafted goalie in NHL history to start in a Stanley Cup Final game. No pressure or anything. This series is nuts. Carolina, though, they need this one, and here comes the numbers. 81% of the teams that are leading 2-1 in the Stanley Cup Final go on to win the cup. So the numbers are not in their favor, and they need a big start, which is exactly what they get. A minute in, Carolina wins the faceoff, and they say, you know what? We got absolutely torched by the end boards on the OT winner last game. Time for us to get our bounce here. Now, unless Jalen Chatfield is as blind as Stevie Wonder, I think he's intentionally aiming for the backboards here, knowing that the boards are lively, and he gets a bounce. Carter Hart goes to play it, swing and a miss. That is strike one. It pops out to the stanky leg. Logan Stankoven, the best last name in the league, gentlemen. Huge start for Carolina as they go up 1-0. Now, one thing that has been clicking for Carolina is their power play. They have the extra man here, and although this expires, the Hurricanes are looking for this down low and across play all series long. They converted on something similar to this in game 3, and we see it here again. Carolina has been using the 1-3-1 in this series, and this is how you execute that down low and across play to a T. As soon as you go to the goal line with the puck, that is the green light for the other flank to creep down low and get open. But this is also a subtle, great play from Hall too. Instead of just staying put and feeding the backdoor option, he steps out, and what that does is it forces this lone defender to have to respect that shot and stay in the middle. It works out beautifully. He slides it over to Jackson Blake, 2 first names, and Carolina has the hot start to make it 2-0. They needed that. But one thing is for certain in this series, and it's that no lead is safe. Vegas needs a boost, so they call the captain, Mark Stone. First, he goes after the other captain, and Jordan Stall lays a huge hit, ba-boom, puts him on his ass, and then he takes about 2 to 3 business days to get up the ice. But here's the thing with Stone. He is just so smart with his off-puck routes that even though he skates slower than the Zamboni, he's always in the right spot. Carolina, as we know, is man-on-man all the way, so each Hurricane here has a man in the neutral zone. Slavin has this man swinging further up. Jarvis has the close man here, and Ehlers is supposed to have Stone, but he catches him as Sleeping Beauty here for just a second, and he's going to find that gap right in between Slavin and Ehlers. It's an incredible pass by Theodore, and Stone is off to the races. Catch me if you can. Little fake clapper around the mess, and then he tucks it in just like that. Vegas gets one back, but it is short-lived because the Golden Knights get in penalty trouble again. A too many men penalty on the ice has Torts ready to lose it. And so the other thing clicking for Carolina's power play is Jordan Stall. He's been an absolute problem for Vegas in the blue paint this series. Traffic has given Carter Hart some fits in this series as a whole, and Carolina has really leaned into that by placing Stall in the net front and even having the bumper, which has been Ehlers, slide in to become that second layer of traffic in front of Hart. That's something that won them game 2. Here, Carolina stays in the spread, and Gostisbehere decides that he's going to leverage that big body of Stall, and pucks are just finding ways to hit Braden McNabb now. He gets pelted by this shot. It bounces right off of him and lands to Jordan Stall's stick. He picks up the garbage. The captain is having himself a hell of a series. He's the first player aged 37 or older to score in the first 4 games of the Stanley Cup Final. Just an absolute dog. Now buckle up for the last minute, because out of the box comes Taylor Hall. He's in all alone. Mono, and Carter Hart says, get that shit out of here. Big save, and with 5 seconds left, Vegas cooks up a scissor play on the outside. Hannafin finds McNabb. Bang! The buzzer beater with 0 seconds left. That could turn everything around for Vegas, but we're going to have to double check with Gary and make sure this is actually a goal, because the green light went off and they review it, and it turns out they are just a millisecond too late, so it's not going to count, and it's still 3-1 Carolina going into the second. So grab a seat and get ready for period number 2. But before you do, if you want the best seat in the house for Game 5 or your next live event, you got to use our friends over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app with over 28 million downloads. There's more than 70,000 listed events, from sports to concerts to festivals and more. It's still the easiest way to find a great deal. You browse seating on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is no bueno and it's red. 10 is green. That's a banger. Snatch up those tickets right away so that you get into your event at a great price. The best way to use it is before a game on the app on your phone, where you can snag some unreal last minute deals. The World Cup is almost here. The Stanley Cup Final is here. You can find all those tickets on the SeatGeek app. You know they hooked us up with a code to get you some great deals too. So if you hit the link in the description to download the app, it'll automatically apply the code Hockey2026 so that you can get 10% off your next pair of tickets. SeatGeek's my go-to. Been using it for years. It's why they're always a sponsor on this channel. Hockey games, baseball games, whatever games, you name it, I use SeatGeek to get my tickets, and you can too, while scoring a great deal if you download the app and use the code on screen here. Now, the thing about Carolina in this series is that they've struggled in the second period for whatever reason. And when you look at the Hurricanes game as a whole, most of the breakdowns for Carolina in this series, according to Rod himself, have actually come in the offensive zone, right at the offensive blue line. And that is something we highlighted in our series preview as well, because Carolina wants to be aggressive and they want to hold on to the puck to create plays off the rush. That alone gives Vegas the opportunity to hurt them on the counter. This series is going to start with an aggressive step up from Walker, who is the defenseman. It's the right read with Blake reloading for support. But if you don't win that puck battle, Vegas heads the other way with a forward defending. Sure enough, it goes to the one guy who is white hot right now, and that is Mitch Marner. This is Vegas at their best too. The D get active. They jump up in the play to give them a numbers advantage, which is very important because Carolina actually does a decent job at closing in on Marner. But Anderson, the defenseman, is there to extend the play. Then this becomes a recovery issue for Carolina in a case of over back checking. Here, Svechnikov collapses onto the net front danger along with his D instead of picking up the trailer. And that's easy to pick apart from back here. We're on the sofa watching this in slow motion, but at this speed, all you're thinking about as a player at this point is to protect the front of the net. But Vegas makes a great play. They find Wild Bill in the slot, and William Karlsson makes it a 3-2 game. Here we go. This is where Carolina started to get loosey-goosey with their puck management in the offensive zone. A couple of close calls nearly gave Vegas a chance to tie this up, but near the end of the second, it's this area again that bites them. This play starts with Walker, the D, taking a shot, and as it rims around, Carolina's forwards all cheat towards the next offensive play instead of covering for Walker. So Vegas, they stuff it. It's another odd man rush, and this time they let Wayne Gretzky himself walk in. Brett Howden steps right in, makes himself at home. Toe drag release, looking like Bedsy. That is his 14th goal of these playoffs. Someone piss test this guy because he's on another level right now. Vegas ties the game and takes advantage of Carolina's carelessness with the puck. So now we go to the third, where Vegas is pushing early. They get a power play, and one guy who is looking to make his mark in this series still is Jack Eichel. He's got a chance to rip one, tickling the rafters on the power play. But no, he rings the bells of St. Mary and hits the crossbar. This stays all tied up. Now, we've seen that hockey is a game of mistakes, and both of these teams, in an effort to avoid the mistakes in their own end, have just deferred to high flipping the puck out of danger when they face pressure. Theodore, though, he opts to try and make a play here under the gun. It looks like he's trying to hit his furthest winger at the blue line based on the amount of zip he puts onto this pass, but the pressure closes in way too quickly. It bounces off the skate right to Seth Jarvis. He's home alone. Kevin McAllister, all the time in the world. Forehand, backhand, denied by Hart. Huge save. Vegas, though, gets completely sucked into the mess. Let's do a head count here, fellas. There is 4 Vegas players in the corner here to 1 Hurricane, and they don't come out with the puck. Poor Theodore is going to get roasted in the film room by Torts after seeing him vacate the net as well. It pops out to Ehlers, who feeds Stall, and everything about this play is unorthodox. Stall loses his balance. He looks like Bambi on skates as he's falling down. He just gets a piece of it. Carter Hart, in pure desperation, gets over to try and make the save, but this is a chip shot of destiny by Jordan Stall. One hell of a changeup makes Hart whiff on catching this puck, and the captain yet again scores a massive goal to give Carolina the lead with 13 minutes left. And this is where the Bussi starts to make his mark. Bussi is more athletic than Freddie himself, and I don't know if Fred X makes this kind of save. Eichel, who was all over it in the third period, watch him explode off of his check to beat his man. And that's the thing with the man-on-man system. If you get beat, there's no one there to help you except the Tendy, and Bussi gets over with the pad to rob Jack Eichel, the biggest save of the game when it matters. Carolina takes this to the dying seconds, and Nikolai Ehlers seals the game with an empty netter as the Hurricanes hold on to take Game 4 and tie this series up. Now let's unpack this one here. Biggest story is obviously the bus driver himself, Brandon Bussi. His story is incredible. Obviously undrafted starting this game. He played 111 AHL games with 3 different organizations. He was claimed off of waivers at the beginning of the season by Carolina, and he was their #1 guy for majority of the season. It ain't always going to be pretty with him, but I do think the Hurricanes got to ride him out if they're going to pull this off. That being said, it is not confirmed he starts for Game 5, as Rob Brindamore said after the game that Fred just needed a rest and he's in no rush to name a Game 5 starter. Probably just a little bit of mind games there, but you never truly know. On the other side, goaltending is a bit of a topic right now too, as Carter Hart has become the first goalie in NHL history to concede 4+ goals in each of the first 4 games of the Stanley Cup Final, and some of the goals that he's let in have been a bit weak. Now, he's made some big key saves at times, but Vegas still does have Adin Hill as their backup. He has not had a good season, and I doubt they pull a shoot on Hart after this run, but Hill has won them a Stanley Cup in the past. If we get another iffy performance in Game 5 from Carter Hart, Vegas could find themselves having to make a very interesting call in net. Moving on to Game 5, though, the key for Carolina to have another win is to clean up their act at the offensive blue line and tighten up in the neutral zone. Breakaways and stretch plays have been torching them in this series, and if they can reduce that, I like their chances. For Vegas, on the other hand, they got to stay out of the box. The penalty kill just has not had an answer for Carolina, and it starts in the dot. They only won 43% of the draws in this game, and they've been losing in this area all series long, and it's allowed Carolina's power play to just set up instantly. With how it's been clicking, they need to stay out of the box entirely. When even strength, Vegas has to manage the puck better like Carolina, but they have to do it better below their own goal line. It's becoming a trend in this series. Carolina's forecheck has given the Vegas D troubles below that goal line. It creates a big turnover, and it leads to a grade A chance. Both teams have exposed each other at times in this series, and as a result, we are all tied up at 2. Going back to Carolina, it has now become a best of 3 to see who wins the Stanley Cup. So, what surprised you? Who pissed you off about these games? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I'm Anthony from Hockey Psychology. We do all the breakdowns on this channel, and if you want to see more just like this, check out any of the videos here and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single thing.